Hello and welcome back to Fallout 76. Today we are going to do a comparison between two 4-star legendary effects, Scanners and Rejuvenators, to see which one will help us stay in VATS the longest. So Scanners reduces the AP cost of a VATS attack by 5% per piece, so a full set will be a 25% reduction. This is for power armor only. And Rejuvenators gives you constant health and AP regeneration, and it is supposed to be 1 per piece, like 1 health and 1 AP per piece, up to 5 for a full set. It does seem to be overperforming right now, at least in the AP department. So that means maybe if you're looking at this in the future, it's not going to be the same result that I get today. I can't help that. I can only test what it's actually doing, not what it's supposed to do. And this is also a power armor only effect. So because this is a power armor only effect, I decided to just keep the comparison with heavy guns. I have 4 different guns I'm going to do with different AP costs and fire rates. So first we have this Gatling Plasma, has an AP cost of 8. Fire rate is 114. I've got a 50 cal. It has the same fire rate of 114, but the AP cost is a little bit higher at 9. Then I have an LMG, has an AP cost of 13, so quite a bit higher. And the fire rate is also quite a bit higher at 159. And then we have this Plasma Caster with an AP cost of 13, but the fire rate is 20, so quite a bit slower. So one thing to note about Scanners is that the AP cost reduction does not show up in the Pip-Boy. So if you have a full set of Scanners armor equipped, the number in the Pip-Boy, your AP cost on your weapon will be the same whether you have this equipped or not. So what I'm gonna do is a run with the Gatling Plasma first, and we're going to do it without either one of those effects on it. I just picked Aegis because it will have no effect on this test at all. It just ups our resistances. That way we can see that the Scanners effect is actually making a difference. And just to show the amount of AP, I have 476 AP. That'll be the same amount I have through, every single weapon. And this is the build. It has no effect at all on the test. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not concerned with damage at all. I'm only showing the build because somebody's going to ask, what's the build? It doesn't matter at all as far as this particular test goes. All right, here we go. So this is how many shots I'll be able to stay in VATS without, here we go. So we start with 500 rounds and it's going to get down to around, oh, I got staggered. Of course I got staggered. Of course I got staggered. Let's try this again. Yeah, that's the wild card here. So we can get down to, hopefully I don't get staggered again. Looks like, so about 64 shots is what it looks like. We'll run that again. But it looks like 64 shots is about what we can do just as a baseline without either one of these effects. Yeah, roughly. Call it 64, 65 roughly. The exact account is, as long as we're within 1 or 2. So 64, 65 shots is kind of our baseline on this particular weapon. So now I have equipped Scanners on all of the pieces of armor. And you can see, just like I said, the AP cost is still the same. It is just not reflected in the Pip-Boy. And as far as the dry run went, the one that I just did, just to show what the AP cost is without any of these effects, I'm not going to do that on every weapon. I just want to do it on just one weapon, just so we can see that there is a difference with and without Scanners. All right, here we go. This is the Gatling Plasma Scanner. Oops, actually have to shoot for this test to actually mean anything. So we are at, looks like about 65 shots, something like that, looks like. No, 85, not 65, 85. Math is hard. So 85 shots, let's try this again and see. We should get about the same results. And that would actually track because it should be about a third more shots with the 25% AP reduction. Yeah, about 85. It's hard to know exactly when it runs out. So about 85 shots with Scanners. So it's definitely working. All right, so now we have Rejuvenators on all the armor. We'll run it again. And here we go. So Rejuvenators, you can see that the AP bar is fighting a little bit to try and stay, actually that's about the same, right around 85-ish. So it looks like with the AP cost of 8, and of course this particular fire rate as well. I mean, that's what's gonna figure into things with Rejuvenators. It's gonna be your AP cost and your fire rate. I think a slower fire rate will actually benefit Rejuvenators. And yeah, right about 85 shots. So it looks like with this particular gun, the way I have it set up, and my AP, fire rate, all that, looks like Rejuvenators and Scanners is basically a draw. All right, so now we are on to the next weapon. So the 50 cal here will have the same fire rate as the Gatling Plasma, just it has an AP cost that's slightly higher, 9 versus 8. And we are starting off with Scanners.
Alert.
Now, in this particular case, I would expect scanners to be a little bit ahead, just because the fire rate's the same, the AP cost is going up, so I would assume that would favor scanners a little bit, but I am not sure. That is why we test things. I love this paint, by the way. This paint is from the current season board. This is a great paint. It's a good enough paint. It's almost a good enough reason to run the 50 cal just based on that. So here we go. Start with 250 rounds, and we get down to, what do we get down to? So that would be, what, 72? Looks like we can shoot 72 shots. We'll do that again. Try and get something similar to that. So let's see, we are down to 72, so 73. So it looks like 72, 73 rounds is what we can expect with scanners and this weapon. And now we're going to do the same thing with rejuvenators. Now, when we get 72, 73 with the scanners, I wouldn't expect this to be tremendously different one way or the other, but we are going to find out pretty quick. I guess since I don't care about damage, I don't have to wait for it to come all the way out because the VATS cost is going to be the same. Either way, doesn't matter if I'm doing damage or not. All right, so that was 72. Okay, so basically the same thing we were getting before. So a difference of 1 AP doesn't seem to make a ton of difference. So statistically insignificant, I would say, at this point, and we are at, yeah, about the same. I mean, that was like, same thing, like 70, 71-ish, something like that. So about pretty much the same thing that we got with scanners. So far, it's pretty much a tie. All right, so now we are testing the LMG. I have this quad just so I don't have to worry about reloads, although even without quad, probably wouldn't get off 75 shots. AP cost on this is 13, so quite a bit higher than the other two guns. And the fire rate is also quite a bit higher as well. I would expect this to, I would expect rejuvenators to be a bit behind on this test just because it's gonna have a hard time keeping up, not only with that higher AP drain, but also the higher fire rate, so it gives it less time to regenerate. So that's what I expect. And we're starting off with scanners. Now, I don't think we're going to be getting a whole ton of shots on this. The AP cost is just, I mean, that's a pretty high AP cost without using any kind of magic like canned coffee or something. So here we go. Starting at 300 down to about, so it looks like 51. Let's reload that and go again. I got staggered, okay. Always nice when the game wants to ruin my testing. So this will take us down to, yeah, that was about 52-ish, I think, something like that. We're gonna do one more just in case. The results are kind of far apart, more than just like one apart, and it's really hard. This has such a high fire rate, so maybe 52, 53. This has such a high fire rate, it's really hard to stop firing right at that exact moment. So 52, 53, somewhere in there. And now we try it again with Rejuvenator set. So with Rejuvenators on this weapon, I would expect the number of shots should be under 50. How much under, I don't know. We'll find out right now. All right, we can start shooting, so we will do just that. Okay, so 43. It's harder to time this one just because the AP is constantly coming back. So trying to stop at that exact moment when you run out is very difficult. So 45, so what do we get? 43 on the first one, 45. Let's just do another one since the bullets are cheap. And whoops, stop fighting. So about 45 shots, so yeah, so quite a bit difference. So the margin is actually getting bigger as we go up the fire rate and AP cost chain. All right, our last weapon is a plasma caster. I have this one as quad just because I don't want to, what could happen is I could lose track of reloads and then our count is off. So quad should be plenty enough. I don't expect to be able to shoot more than 80 rounds, at least not with scanners. I do expect this one to actually, Rejuvenator should favor this one, or should be favored by this one, just because the fire rate is slow enough that the AP regen might come, I think it should come out ahead of scanners. So we've got a fire rate of 20 and an AP cost of 13. So the AP cost is the same as the LMG. Obviously the fire rate is much less. And we are starting off, as always, with scanners. Now with scanners, the amount of shots we get off should be the same as the LMG, because it doesn't really care about fire rate. It only cares about what the AP cost is. So yeah, we should be in that, was it 50, 53, 54 range, something like that. I think that was the range, the low 50s. So I would expect this to be the same. I'll be kind of surprised if it's not. So the big trick here is if I get staggered, and it'll shoot basically as fast as I can pull the trigger. Well, actually, not even as fast as I can pull the trigger. It's a little slower than that. So we're at, all right, so we're at 50 now. And, wow, this feels so slow compared to the other things. Oh, wow, we're way, we're at, oh, no. I was subtracting from 100. So that is 47 shots. That's interesting, 47, so that's interesting. Yeah, I was going from 100, not from 80. So yeah, 47 shots. Kind of surprised why it would be less. Maybe it's just because I'm able to be more accurate with this because the fire rate is so slow that I could actually stop at the moment when I run out of AP. I think that's what's going on here. So, but yeah, definitely takes longer to, I don't know this is the optimal weapon to use against the boss here, at least not if you're the only one, but I mean, it's still doing okay. You're just not going to do it in record time, and obviously I'm not worrying about damage. So again, 47 shots both times. And we go again with Rejuvenators. Let's see. All right, there we go. Maybe. There we go. Shoot, shoot, shoot. And, okay, see, that's... Okay, so... Rejuvenators is clearly better than 5 AP per second because I am basically pegged at full. So, I mean, and we're not getting... Because it should take 3 seconds, basically, between shots if we're going to be even on AP if it was 5 per second. And we're, you know, we're about 1 shot per second, maybe actually a little more than 1 shot per second. So, yeah, it looks like the amount of shots I can shoot is... Oh, and I got knocked out of VATS there by a bit of a stagger there. But yeah, here basically it looks like the amount of shots I can do in AP is either when the enemy's health runs out or when my ammo runs out. So yeah, if you have a slow firing weapon, at least with this kind of fire rate, slow firing weapon and a full set of Rejuvenators means you can just, yeah, I could just stand here until my finger wears out is what it looks like I could do. Actually, until I explode, because what'll happen is eventually the room will just go completely dark. I guess I could target the torso, get a little more damage, but yeah, you can see just, yeah, AP is just never gonna run out with this particular combination. So as far as the question of which one is better, it really just depends on how fast the weapon fires and what the AP cost is. With a plasma caster, clearly Rejuvenators wins by a mile. With all the other weapons, it was actually pretty close most of the time. And of course, Rejuvenators has the extra benefit of constantly regenerating your health, and it gives the benefit to teammates who are within a 50-foot radius, whatever that is. And another thing just to keep in mind is that Rejuvenators does seem to be outperforming what it's actually intended to be doing. So that could change, you know, with any patch, that could actually change. So the results I got in the video could be much different than what you get in a month or 6 months from now. Hopefully you enjoyed this test. If you did, please hit one of the buttons, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Thank you very much.